Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing and summarizing the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Written by Stephen Covey, this book has sold over 150 million copies worldwide and is a must if you want to make huge improvements to your life. In this video, I'll be summarizing each of the 7 habits as well as giving my take on how this book has helped me change my life. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I'll be giving you my free bonus worksheet which you can download, which will contain a summary of the habits as well as my notes as well. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe if you're interested in videos in self-development and personal finance. With that being said, let's get straight to the video. So the first 3 habits, Stephen calls them the habits of private victory. Mastering the first 3 habits will improve your sense of self-confidence as well as your identity, integrity, self-directedness and control. The next 3 habits are habits of public victory, which will strengthen your relationships with people, make those relationships stronger, more creative and more solid. The 7th habit is aimed at renewing the first 6 habits to make you more independent and overall more interdependent. Habit 1 states that our behavior is a result of our decisions, not our conditions. This means that you are truly in control of your own life, and if you haven't watched my video on how to control your life and stop feeling behind, then make sure you check that out. I'll also link it down in the description below. This means that you realize what you can and can't control. There are certain things you can't control and there are certain situations which provoke a particular response. Habit 1 says that between a stimulus and a response there's a gap where you're allowed to choose your response accordingly. A proactive person realizes this gap and chooses to take control of the situation rather than letting the situation control them. For example, a reactive person might say there's nothing I can do to a particular situation, whereas a proactive person might say let's look at the alternatives and see what we can work with. Hence, a proactive person is solution-oriented, whereas a reactive person is affected by the problem. Habit 2 is begin with the end in mind. This means that you set goals and you set ways of how to achieve them. Essentially, habit 1 is saying that you are the creator, and habit 2 is saying that this is the first creation. Stephen encourages you to create a personal mission statement which outlines your values in life. So, for example, you might want to include in your personal mission statement that you're always going to be honest, that you're always going to listen more than you speak, that you're going to plan tomorrow's day in advance today, and that you're going to laugh because laughter is medicine. Stephen says that different people may look at things differently depending on what center they have important in their lives. For example, some might be family-centered, some might be work-centered, some might be money-centered, some might be possession-centered, some might be church-centered, and so on. Stephen suggests that the best center to follow is actually a principle-centered approach. And what having a principle center means is having a balance of security, guidance, wisdom, and power. Habit 3 is put first things first. This means you should focus on things that are most important to you and that are going to lead to you achieving your bigger vision. This means recognizing when you should say no to things. And this means understanding what you should be doing and what you should not be doing and managing your time accordingly. Stephen gives the idea of a time management matrix where you split your tasks into 4 quadrants depending on what's urgent and what's important. Quadrant 2 are the things that are important and are the things that you should be doing, however they are not urgent, so you may not focus your time and energy into them yet. This may be things like relationship building, finding new opportunities, working on yourself. And since these aren't urgent, you tend to spend less time on it. Stephen suggests to focus more time on quadrant 2 activities and say no to things that are not urgent and not important. So this means you should be setting priorities, making a schedule and also planning your goals in advance. And I've already made a video on how you can plan your monthly goals, so if you haven't checked that out already, then make sure you check that video out. And again, I'll also link it at the description so you can watch it in a new tab. So before I introduce habits 4, 5 and 6, there's a concept of public victory which you must understand. And that is the idea of an emotional bank account. We're all familiar with a financial bank account which has money, and we deposit money and we can withdraw money. So in an emotional bank account, things like courtesy, kindness and honesty act as deposits in those emotional bank accounts and serve to build trust in a relationship with someone else. And that trust that gets built up on can be used when you later need to. If you understand the individual, if you stick to your promises and you respect and appreciate their values, then you build trust and build up that emotional bank account. However, if you do the wrong thing or you act unkind or you show lack of integrity towards that person, then you'll make deposits from that emotional bank account and you diminish the trust you have with the other person. So this idea of the emotional bank account will be very relevant when talking about habits 4, 5 5 and 6 because these are the habits of public victory, meaning these are the habits of dealing with people effectively, and so it's the habits of interdependence. Habit 4 is think win-win. So Stephen describes 6 ways that humans can interact with each other in conversation. He calls these the 6 paradigms of human interaction, and they are win-win, win-lose, lose-win, lose-lose, win, and win-win or no deal. While each paradigm can be applied to a different situation, the idea of win-win or no deal ensures that a positive outcome is achieved for both parties involved in the conversation. And if you can't find a solution which produces a positive outcome for both people, then you agree to disagree in a no deal. So win-win means that both you and the other person involved benefit from the situation, which means that there's high courage as well as high consideration. Habit 5 is seek first to understand, then to be understood. When you're listening to a conversation, think about whether you're actually listening or you're just waiting for your turn to speak so you can reply to what the person just said. Stephen suggests that there's a form of listening known as empathic listening, which means you listen to actually understand what the person is saying. You listen with an intent to understand, and you're open to seeing their ideas in terms of their point of view. And instead of butting in with your own opinion, you actually listen fully to what the other person has to say before making your own rebuttal. Habit 6 is to synergize, and this suggests that the whole is greater than the sum of its individual parts. What that means is when things come together, its effect is much more amplified than things happening by themselves. For example, when you put 2 pieces of wood together, they're able to carry a much higher weight than they could by themselves. And so habit 6 is the idea of creative cooperation. It means synergizing with people. It means connecting ideas together to achieve a dimension which is much greater than what you could have achieved by yourself. Rather than being defensive or compromising, it's actually better to be creative and have a synergistic idea or relationship. Habit 7 is sharpening the saw. And this is one of the most important habits because without this, the other 6 habits won't work. Habit 7 is about working on yourself to renew the 4 areas of your life. These are physical, mental, social or emotional, and spiritual. So physical means, do you get enough nutrition? Do you get enough exercise or sleep? Mental means, are you reading? Are you visualizing? Are you planning? Social or emotional means you're working on yourself to be more empathetic or to provide service. And spiritual means you're committed, you have clear values, and there's an aspect of meditation as well. Sharpening the saw means focusing your energy on each of the 4 areas in a balanced way. It means doing things that are more important, which are quadrant 2 activities. So in summary, you are a result of the habits that you do regularly. And so it's important to have habits that benefit you. You are free to choose how you respond to circumstances. Integrity, service, patience, care, and courage are important factors that you should live by. You should write a personal mission statement to clarify your values and write your goals. You should build trust in relationships, think win-win, and act synergistically with other people. And you should sharpen the saw by continually working on yourself to improve these habits. I actually listened to the audiobook of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People last year, and then I reread the book because it was so good. So I really hope that these tips have helped you, and I really recommend getting the full book. So I'll be putting links in the description where you can get the audiobook or where you can get the physical book. And now for the bonus for sticking around to the end of the video, I've actually created my notes and a summary of the 7 habits, as well as created some questions as kind of like a worksheet to help you improve your life and take control. Ideally, I'd suggest reading the entire book yourself, but if you don't have time, then make sure you check the link in the description for the free worksheet which you can download. And if you made it to the very end of this video, then very well done, that's commitment. So make sure you type in the word commitment in the comments below, and make sure you press the like button to show some support. If you're new here, then make sure you subscribe if you're interested in videos in self-development, personal finance, and you can check these 2 videos out here as well, which might be interesting to you. With that being said, thank you very much for watching, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you again in my next video.